For those of you that are new to the stream, those of you that are at this rate showing up after the fact, my work is Echoes of Home, the story of a man who finds his way into a game world, meets a native, has adventures, levels up rather a lot, and finds a way to leave the game world. Invites his new bride to come with him. And they wind up in Oklahoma. They are superpowered people in an unsuperpowered world. Book 1 is complete. I've been working on book 2. We are late into book 1. This will be the first of 3 readings to go in it. So in 3 weeks, I'll be done reading book 1. And at this point, Tsuna, the wife, has been fighting in underground cage matches for a while for fun and prizes. So, joining the happy couple, here's entry 105 by Steve. Projects. Sam texted me to say he had some work for us, so I stopped by at the pit. A couple more pig going requests came in. A couple counties over, though. Not a problem? Not if we can make it in one trip. Go out, make the estimates, phone them in to you, you clear it with them. We hunt after midnight and come back. Probably Saturday and Sunday. People from that far out come here? Friend of a friend's stuff. Speaking of, looks like someone's got a friend at the state wildlife office, passed on a message. About unlicensed pig hunting? Reckon they're okay with solutions to problems they don't gotta worry about. No, this is about fishing. You guys fish? Fishing leave. Interesting. Haven't really since we got here. Issues with licenses and all. Well, the Aquatic Nuisance Species Program apparently don't care much about that if you can tell them whether there's big head carp. Board for information regarding the location of. So, that means you'd be handing fish over to them? Not if it means you bringing fish in my bar. Here's the number, use my name if you want. Cool. Anything else? Yeah, got something from Frank. Frank. Deputy Frank. He's got work for us. Says he's passing on word. Didn't mention you. Says the Bureau of Narcotics and Dangerous Drugs is looking for information about the unlicensed cultivation of intoxicating plants in counties along 51. So, a narc. The state is looking for a narc. Sam just grinned. Is it reasonable to assume there's a non-zero chance of discovering illegal cultivation of intoxicating plants at one looks? He kept grinning. Dude, we gotta live with these people. Ain't passing judgment, just passing word. Yeah, well, maybe pass word you couldn't find anyone? You couldn't even find sumac. Why should I think you could find weed? Because we probably hadn't been looking in places that weed might grow. And if we did find where we could harvest it, that didn't necessarily mean anyone was planting it there. So we might be out of luck if we wanted to narc for money. We might not even be able to deal in it. Google searches suggest the Oklahoma weed market is oversaturated, so we couldn't sell it on the street if we wanted to sell drugs at all. So I got the information for the pig jobs and Gmapped the addresses for GPS locations. Sam watched as I pulled out my journal. You got one of them smart paper books too? Standard issue. Uh-huh. It shouldn't be that bad. We can probably fly the Gooboos out after Thursday diner shift, camp, do the estimate during the day, call it in, return, do the pitch shift, go back out to do the hunting, then fly to the next site, camp again, and so on. As long as we clear it with the customers, we can probably just camp on their land and not even camo the tent. Though camoing the tent was still an idea. I brought it up with Tuna. So, remember the Gatherer World Quest at the Questarium? What is a Gatherer World Quest? Ah, did you notice there weren't any quests from our class guild leaders once we started in Norvrent? I assumed it was because the guild leaders were not in Norvrent. That's probably was the story reason, yeah. But also they had role quests instead, like the people at the bar in the Crystarium with the tank quest, the healer quest, and so on. Those were role quests? So when you speak of a gatherer role quest, you mean at the Crystalline Mean? Yeah, there was that woman who wanted to find legendary creatures. Keshi Ray. Right, her. And she said she found traces of stuff like glamour prisons in the samples we found and brought back to her, which suggested to her that the creatures were somehow naturally glamoring themselves to blend in with the background, effectively becoming invisible. She thought about that. You want to do that with the tent? Make it invisible? No, if it was invisible, people could still see us inside. I wanted to blend in with what's around it. The pieces in the Emperor's new glamour set are invisible. Are they? Or are they blending in with us? All of my accessories are glamour to the Emperor's new set, so I lent Tsuna one of my two augmented Crypt Lurker's rings of healing. It became visible as soon as I took it off, and it didn't have me to blend to. Something for us to brainstorm over later. I'd worked up the rough numbers for how many aluminum ingots translated into how many inches of aluminum frame bar, so we worked up recipes for pieces of the frame. We could maybe make a single recipe for the whole thing, but ultralights in general are designed to be collapsible for transport, so we kept with form. It was how Eorzean Workshop airships were designed too. We needed to do similar calculations for rubberized cloth and foam plastic, then apply those to the component recipes. Math and guesstimating, sitting side by side on stools to the workbench. It was coming together. The seats and propeller will be entirely different recipes, and the fuel line and control wires I'll simply buy. Suna was taking it seriously. It felt like a bit of a struggle at first, but yesterday it seemed like she was leaning in. Maybe it's finally firing up her imagination, which means we should probably go into town and try out Flight Simulator. It'd likely run on the laptop, but I think it would be better on a decent screen. Oklahoma supposedly doesn't freeze during the day, but it'll still be chilly to fly in winter. I mean, we flew in Coerthus a lot, but we had more control over our mounts than we will over the ultralight. Tuna may end up wishing we'd crash and burn just to warm up. And it does freeze at night, so we might need to plan our flights between cheap motels if the tent isn't viable. All this work we're putting into it, and only now, typing this, thinking about the tent and the ring, am I wondering, could we just glamour the mana cutter to an ultralight? I suppose we'd still need an ultralight to use as a base for the glamour. One impossible thing at a time. Entry 106 by Tuna. Acceptance. Might be hitting the cough drop. Husband's approval of what I do matters to me. I do not like to admit this, but it is true. It was different in Eorzea, even after our one fight. He did not observe me as much as he does here. We each did things our own way. His was based on experience with the game, which changed with life in Eorzea. Mine was based on my life in Eorzea, that was slowly changed from watching him. But even in Eorzea, even when we were closer in skill and strength, he admired me. I now think it was perhaps seeing his character come to life and be whatever he imagined her to be, and perhaps more. Characters in the game are only annoyed when they are told to be, or when the script makes them so, whereas I could be freely annoyed with him at any time, which was among the things he apparently found wondrous about me. Here on Earth he observes me more purposefully. He wants to know what I can do because it means he can do it too, but he also seems happy with everything I do. When he found out about the cage fighting, he tried to accept and understand why I did not tell him. When he learned I had lifted the end of Sam's truck, he simply took it as useful data, another thing to learn from. He accepts. He sometimes evaluates, but he always accepts. He is approving. He is admiring. I find I dread the idea of that stopping. I am my own person. I need to be my own person. If I am not my own person, what am I? His wife? His sidekick? His character? Yet I do not want to lose the smile on his face, or the matching one in his eyes. So I found myself hesitant to tell him what happened last night. I think perhaps I need to have more faith in him, especially since he seems to have faith in me. Last night's fight was not too unusual, though I did try something like Ted's suplex on someone called Beat Hazard. He came at me swinging and grabbing. I simply dodged his efforts, then ducked under one of his swings, wrapped an arm around his chest, and rolled to the floor. He bounced off of me onto the floor, and I was able to pin him. That got a chuckle from the audience, so I suppose I am still entertaining them. Yet my pay has been getting less and less. Myra says this is because fewer and fewer people bet against me, so there are less winnings for the house to share with me. I do not quite know how the betting works, so I do not know how she is paying the winners now if there are so few losers. Perhaps house winnings from other fights are paying my winners. When I came out of the building, I could simply have turned and gone around the side to return out of sight. But I looked across the parking lot and caught a glimpse of Clive looking around the corner of a car. He should not have been there. Myra told me he and his friends were no longer welcome at the fights. I could have gone back inside and told her boys that he was there, and they would have taken care of him. But husband and I are people who take care of things ourselves. I went to see what Clive was up to. He was not at the car where I had seen him. I looked around and saw him at a further car before he hid behind it. Nor was he at that car when I went to look. I was annoyed by this. I wondered just what I needed to do in order to make him leave me alone. Scolding and pain and embarrassment had not worked. Did I need to kill him after all? I spotted Clive then, at the end of the parking lot. He stood there, talking on his phone. Perhaps he was trying to trap me, though why he thought it would work any better than the other times I did not understand. I walked toward him. Then bright lights lit on a car to my left. It roared and squealed and charged at me. I switched to Paladin. A Paladin has several skills for keeping oneself from being hurt. Among them are Rampart, which reduces damage taken, Sheltron, which extends our shields, and Arm's Length, which prevents us from being knocked away by a heavy blow. I had just enough time to use all of these before the car struck me, and I shield bashed the car for good measure. The car hit hard, but I have been hit harder. The crash was loud. The back end of the car flew into the air, then fell back down. When I lowered my shield, I saw the front of the car had been caved in. The front window was covered in so many cracks I could not see through it that what looked like blood had splattered against it. I could not see anything living inside. I looked at Clive. He stood where he was, his face showing shock. Then he looked at me, backed up a step, and turned to run. I switched to Bard. I raised my bow and drew an arrow. It would have been an easy shot. It would have been a simple solution. Yet the minstrels do not sing songs of the champion of Eorzea stepping on cockroaches, and I was not sure what husband would say. I believe he would have accepted my killing Clive, but I realized I did not need to, so I chose a more difficult target. My arrow went into Clive's knee. He fell down and screamed. I switched to White Mage, not to heal Clive, but simply to cast Repose to put him to sleep. Then I heard people approaching. I did not want them to see my gear, but they would want to know where the arrow came from. So I switched to Earth Normal and took up my level 30 gator hunting bow. It was useless for hunting gators, but perhaps people would believe it worked for hunting Clive. It was two of Myra's boys. They looked at the damaged car. Heard the crash from inside. What the hell happened? Someone tried to hit me with a car. When they stared at me, I added, they failed. What did they hit? I did not see. I was busy dodging. Hit and run. Great. Gotta call in the cops for this one. The taller boy and I looked in the car's side window and saw two men. Both were bloody. Neither were moving. Any idea who they were? Southside Longshots, I think. Those losers? Why'd they be after you? I gestured to Clive. He has hired them before. As the boys looked down at Clive, I brought out my phone and took a picture of the men in the car. The tall boy gave me a strange look. Instagram? What is an Instagram? It's, uh, why take their picture? I want to learn who they are. The shorter boy bent to examine Clive, then looked up at me annoyed. This supposed to be a joke? You shot him with an arrow at a res operation? It was handy. Is he dead? Asked the tall boy. No, it looks like he fainted. Wuss. What are you going to do with him? I thought I would make a present of him. I turned to the tall boy. Do you know where the long shots are? More or less, yeah. There's a place they squat at. Can you take me there? And do you have something to wrap Clive in? The tall boy's name was Jonah, and he had a car and what he called duct tape. The short boy said he would talk to the police when they came. Jonah drove me to Tulsa, to an area with old-looking buildings that had colorful paint on them. He stopped a little ways from a lit building. Jonah and I got out of the car and went to the back. He opened the back of the car to show Clive awake and struggling against the tape. Those guys are worthless shits, but there might be a lot of them, said Jonah. Don't know if we should be going in there. You are not going. I will go alone. I grabbed Clive's collar and dragged him out of the car by it, then placed my bow inside. May I leave my bow with you? I would like to have my hands free. You can't go in there by yourself. I will be fine. Thank you for your help, Jonah. Please do not wait for me. This ain't a ring. Those guys all have guns. Yes, it will probably be dangerous. You should leave now. He stared at me, glanced at the building, shook his head, and got in his car. He turned it around and drove away. I waited until he was out of sight before switching to Paladin. I turned and walked toward the building, Clive sliding along the ground behind me. There was music playing inside that I could hear from Jonah's car that was much louder when I got close. Two men were at the front door. They looked up as they saw me coming. They seemed confused. Halloween's over, lady. I am not here for candy. I am returning something to you. I released Clive's collar. More of your people are dead because of this man. You should stop listening to him. They straightened. Who the hell are you? I am called Cat's Meow. Their eyes got wide and they reached for guns. I shield bashed the man on the left and he bounced off a wall and fell down. The other man got his gun out, but found the point of my sword at his throat. I holstered my shield, brought out my phone, and showed him the picture I took. These are your people? The fuck did you do to them? They crashed their car when they tried to kill me. Do you want more of your people to die? Perhaps starting with you? He lowered his gun but did not drop it. That is a good answer. You and your people should stay away from me. I holstered my sword and turned away from him. There was a bang, and something struck my armor. I stopped, turned, and drew my sword once more. The man stared at me a long moment, then put his gun away. He turned toward the man on the ground. Clive made noise and squirmed. I turned once more and walked away. As I looked for a place to use return, I saw Jonah's car coming back. I switched to Earth normal and stepped into his lights. The car stopped. He watched me, looking tense as I approached the car to talk to him. I thought I told you to leave. It went okay there? Yes, but they may be angry now. You should probably leave before any of them come looking for me. Uh, yes? He took a slow breath and said, Myra called. She said if I see you, I should tell you she wants you to lose your next fight. He sat very still, watching my face, which I am sure showed how unhappy I was to get this message that night after having been hit by a bullet in a car. I closed my eyes and forced myself to be calm. Please open the back so I can get my bow. After I fetched it, I came back to the window. Thank you, Jonah. You have been very helpful tonight. Go home now. You sure you don't need... I am sure. Good night, Jonah. I walked around the building corner and returned, but I did not go home right away. Instead, I summoned my Gubu and rode high into the air. It has become increasingly chilly here in the past few weeks, especially at night, though not yet as cold as Coerthas. I found the cold air refreshing and distracting. I am not sure how long I sat there, but in time I flew over to the Hartman house. I landed in some nearby trees and let myself in. Husband was in bed. I said, "We can talk in the morning. Please just hold me." And that is what he did. He accepted me, and that is what I wanted. In case anybody questions whether she could actually survive being hit by a moving car, I'd like to point out, and Jerry can support me on this, that a lot of bosses in Final Fantasy XIV are bigger than houses and can swing an arm at you the length of a semi. For the moment, at least, I'm not going to ever get hit by a semi. Spoiler alert. Entry 107 by Steve. Food truck. We have a body count. What began as an isolated incident is now a sequence of events. 5 people dead, all in self-defense, but still. And we don't even know their names. Really hope that's the end of it. These Southside longshots keep getting banged up every time they run into us. If they're losers like Tuna said Myra's guy called them, they can't be that big of a gang. 5 guys might be a third of them gone or even half of them. I wonder what Clive told them. Probably would have sounded like meth ravings to them. If they took anything he said seriously, all they know about for sure is the fights in Flying Tigers. They should be pretty sure Tony's useless, though he does know about Murray's and the names of the guys. If they decide they're on a mission from God and follow the chain far enough, all they'd get is my G voice number, though they might amass a body count of their own. Very tempting to think she should have just kicked down the door and gone in swinging. But maybe the fact that she didn't sends a message. Don't fuck with us. Wonder what that is in Latin. Might make a good family crest. Who would I talk to about this? Tuna talks to me about it, but what makes me qualified to be talked to about moral issues? I don't really see myself stepping into a confessional and saying, "Bless me, Father, for I have sinned. I killed 2 more people in self defense." Emphasis on the more. Should I mention that I've killed gods? For all I know, God is a primal. Maybe that's why there's no big ether crystals lying around. Tuna talked with me over breakfast. She didn't want to talk last night, just told me to hold her, so that's what I did. Most of the tension in her just vanished while we cuddled, but I could tell she was too preoccupied to sleep. But she didn't talk before I dropped off, and she didn't wake me to talk. I woke up still holding her. Omelette? Yes, please. It was clear she was angry, but I couldn't quite tell if she was angry about having had to kill, having had those idiots place her in that position, having once again run into a problem we kept thinking was over with, or hearing she was expected to lose a fight. I think she was also angry about all of it happening all at once and how muddled she was over it. I think that last one was a new one for her. Violence was our stock in trade in Eorzea. Along with all the crafting and gathering and occasional investigating, it's what we knew how to do. Having to second guess herself in a new world can't be fun, especially when pop up violence makes it look like the old world. Aside from telling me what all happened over breakfast, she seemed disinclined to open up about feelings, so I decided to distract her. Google said there was a Barnes and Noble in Tulsa. I proposed a shopping trip with food trucks for lunch. The store blew her away. The Wyatt Library is tiny compared to a decent county library, but a good B&N can dwarf that. It wasn't the great Google library, but on that note, it also didn't have imps and golems and sentient books and gremlins and psychotic frogs. It did have art stuff and games and collectibles and music and a coffee shop and a children's section. To be fair, I don't know Google Library doesn't have a children's section or a coffee shop. Something has to keep the frogs hyped. She kind of wanted to have a pie in the coffee shop and keep on browsing, but she let me drag her out to a nearby shopping center with food trucks in the parking lot. Burgers, subs, barbecue, Mexican, seafood, despite the nearest sea being 500 miles away, and kebabs. Tuna ordered a lamb kebab and waved it in front of my face when she got it. Not everything must be pies, husband. This is a pie on a stick. Make note of the ingredients. We can stick them in a pie. This is what you meant by food trucks. She looked around. We could do this with our pies. It would be easier than the diner. There are no tables to clean. Sure, all we need are driver's licenses, business licenses, food service permits, permits to park a truck somewhere, and health code inspections. Oh, and a truck. Perhaps we could use your Winnebago. Haven't finished building ultralight yet. A food airplane. That would certainly get people's attention. We found a bench to settle on and eat. After a few bites, I asked, "Feeling better?" I have accepted that the long shots wrote their own story. I simply wish it had not included me. Fair enough. And Myra? I will talk with her. Perhaps she does not understand my concern. You can tell her you've already been pulling your punches. Yes. I still do not know if the grinder survived. The grinder? The first man I fought. He was coughing blood afterward. How many times did you hit him? Once. Gotcha. I wonder just how much she'd need to pull her punches to actually lose, and not make it look like a sissy flat fight. Well, speaking of the ultralight, I'd like to get some more work done on it while it's still light. Coming with? I would like to play the game some while I'm in town. We finished eating, we hugged, we kissed, we went our separate ways. I returned and went to the shed and worked on assembling what I guess is the fuselage until the sun went down. I'm only now wondering why I haven't thought of exterior lights before. So many things to do, and I think I have a couple more. Entry 108 by Tuna. Work. I called Myra. It did not go well. I got your message from Jonah. Yeah? You want me to lose the fight? On purpose? Yeah. You got a problem with that? I fight to win. Well, this time you'll be fighting to lose. No one's betting against you. We want to change that up a bit. I do not know how to fight to lose. It's easy. Just don't hit as hard, let their punches get through. Just try not to look like you're fainting or something. There's a bonus for you if you can make it look good. I do not think you understand. The people I have been fighting are not soldiers. They are barely fighters. It has been hard for me to not hurt them. I'm not asking you to. I'm asking you to let them hurt you. It does not. Here's what you don't understand. You fight for me. You don't fight for them or the guys watching. You fight for me. Unless you can't play ball, and then you don't fight for me. You hear me? I hear what you say. Good. We'll set up 3 fights in a row for you, get the crowd going, and you go down in the third. That way you can claim you were worn out or something. Clear? Yes. The fighting is easy. It is not a challenge for me. It is something to do. It is a place to go, and I get paid for it. And people now cheer for me. And it is mine. Or at least I thought it was. But now Myra is saying it is hers. When I told husband about this, he said, "Sounds like your job has become work." What is the difference? I think of work as something someone pays you to do because they don't want to. Are you saying Myra should do her own prize fighting? Kind of sounds fair since she wants it done in a certain way. We were drinking cider in the workshop. In mere moons I have ceased to be as much of a lightweight drinker of cider, and the bottle gave me something to toy with as I thought. We did not get to losing a fight in our theater practice. Yeah, and we don't have the time or place for it now. Is it silly to worry that the people who watch me fight will lose respect for me? Not really. But do you care more about their respect for you or your own? Both, I think. Well, maybe Myra will find someone you won't feel too bad about losing to. Up to now, she has failed to do so. We had some time before our diner shift, so husband tried to distract me with work on the ultralight. He seemed particularly insistent on doing so. Perhaps he thought I was worrying too much. He explained to me about welding, which is attaching pieces of metal to one another by melting them where they join. He showed me the ammo box he had bought and how some of the edges were slightly puffy. The ammo boxes he had made from a recipe were not like that, but rather looked like a single piece of metal. Do we need to weld? It seems stronger our way. As far as I'm concerned, no. It's just another weird thing to remember, like our identical apples. The ultralight is getting built. Airships and submersibles in Eorzea were made in 4 pieces and then put together. This has been husband's approach here. There was a wing piece, a body piece, a wheel piece, and an engine and propeller piece. Each of them has an aluminum frame that things are attached to, and we are making these aluminum frames without welding. The design he paid for only showed one seat. He has changed that to have space behind that one seat for either a second seat or a cargo hold. I asked, excuse me, I asked him why we need a box in the airplane if we have our inventory. He said something about appearances. But he is definitely making a second seat an option. He is definitely making it possible for me to fly with him, assuming he can fly the airplane at all. Thinking about that did distract me from thinking about losing a fight. Entry 109 by Steve. I love you, Tuna. Entry 110 by Tuna. The other guy. I typed this at the diner as I am eating breakfast. The Hartmans were surprised to see me here. They know husband and I usually have breakfast at the house, and they probably believe we usually eat together, but today I am at the diner and I am alone. Husband would probably have made me breakfast if I had stayed. He perhaps would have made a feast if I had wanted. But after waking up, I got dressed and came here without speaking to him. Before I talk with him, I need to think about last night. Hello, Rebecca. Husband had offered to sleep on the couch or even in the tent. I told him to join me in bed because after the evening at the fights, I wanted a massage. I do not know if it was because of the massage or the end of the dread, but I did sleep well. Myra had proposed a sort of championship for the evening to see who would be the final winner. She said that if I could win 2 fights in a row, I might seem worn out enough to be beaten in a third. It sounded like the sort of strategizing, or perhaps theater, that husband would approve of. Perhaps I should have thought of the fighting as theater from the very beginning. But I was enjoying being successful because of what I was and what I could do, and I liked the adulation. I think Myra had timed the fight so that my loss would be the end of the evening. Other people fought, and the winners fought again. No one won twice, and in the end there were 3 winners remaining that would fight me. I did not pay attention to the fights or the fighters until it was my time. The first opponent was big. The second was fast. Neither were more of a challenge than any others had been. The fast one was helped or dragged out of the cage. There was a pause in the audience noise as the next opponent approached. I took some time to stretch my arms and back. Myra has said the audience likes when I do that. Tom's voice rang out. And Cat's Meow is still going strong. But can she handle 3 fights in a row? Let's find out. Her third and last opponent this evening is, the other guy. The cage door shut, and I turned. Husband. He stood there without a shirt and smiled at me. I could not speak at first. Why are you here? I'm here to fight. You should not be here. But after I heard you were fighting, I couldn't stay away. What do you want? His smile got bigger. He thought he was being clever. Well, now I heard you had a title here, so I thought I'd come and take it away from you. His smile got bigger still. Just like I did in Wolf's Den. Husband and I never went to Wolf's Den. It is the one place in all of Eorzea where dueling is conducted. We would spar if we were inclined, but we never felt the need to find out which of us was better. But that fight was apparently different. Husband was telling me it was Wolf's Den, and it was a duel. I did not want to hurt him. I did not want him to hurt me, but I did not agree to lose. I did not know what he was planning. I assumed he was planning something. He had had time to think about it, especially if he started when he said to me, "Maybe Myra will find someone you won't feel bad about losing to." Even if he had not thought of it right then, he would have needed time to find Myra and arrange to fight me. So it was not a sudden idea. I decided I needed to see what lead he would give me to follow. How he started, how he stood, how he moved, how he fainted, I believed, would tell me what he expected to happen. I believed wrong. When Tom called, "Fight!" Husband charged. In the blink of an eye, he was in front of me, ramming his left arm into my face. Right after that, his right fist struck my stomach. I was no longer used to that sort of fighting. I had not had a true fight since leaving Eorzea. Earth people I fight cannot hurt me or even slow me down unless I let them. Husband was hurting me. He was slowing me down. He was driving me back while I tried to think of what to do. He did not give me time to think. He did things I did not expect, things I had not seen before. He would flutter the fingers of one hand in my face before hitting me with the other. He later said it was from the Three Stooges. He would slap and poke and ram. He would mix in monk attacks. I tried to block it all, to slow him down, but he is as strong as I am. Once I was on the defensive with him, I remained that way. He finally used both his arms to ram me again, then kicked my leg to make me trip. Another kick caught me in the side, and I rolled away to come up in a crouch, resting on one knee to regain my breath. It gave me a very brief moment to think about what was happening. I was angry. Angry about husband being clever without telling me. Angry about Myra making this happen by telling me to lose. Angry that the first true fight I have had since coming to this world was against the man I love. Perhaps that is why I fought as I did. Husband had been stepping toward me to finish the fight. I surged up from my crouch and drove my shoulder into his stomach. My charge lifted him off his feet and slammed his back into the cage wall. It forced the wind from his lungs. I wrapped an arm around him and put my fist again and again into his belly, trying to keep him from getting it back. He brought both fists down on my shoulders. I released him, grabbed one of the pounding arms and pulled, unbalancing him onto me. With another punch to the belly, I was able to lift him off the ground and flip him over me onto the floor. I sat down hard on his chest. Air blew from his lips, and he shook his head as if trying to regain his senses. I glared down at him. He steadied and met my eyes. I raised my fist. I punched him. Then I punched him again. And again. And again. And again. The crowd had been cheering. They were cheering no longer. It was completely silent when I stopped hitting him. Blood was on my hand. Blood was on his face. Blood may have been on my face. I had not hit him enough to kill him. I doubt I had knocked him out. He could perhaps have flung me off of him, used second wind, and continued the fight. He did not. He simply laid there with his eyes closed. My anger was turning to weariness, but I think I was still scowling. I picked myself up from the floor, stepped unsteadily to the cage wall, and gripped the wire to pull myself upright. I left a trail of blood on the wire as I worked my way to the cage door. Tom looked frightened. Perhaps he did not want to let me out of the cage. I brought myself close to the wire. I win. Tom pulled himself together and raised his microphone. The winner and champion for the night, Cat's Meow. He undid the latch on the cage door and stepped back. I pulled it open, held out my hand for my overcoat and put it on. Then the chanting started. Cat's Meow, Cat's Meow. First one voice, then two, then more. As I made my way toward Myra's office, the room rang with the voices. Catch me out! Catch me out! I turned, raised a hand to them, and tried to smile. The chanting continued. I opened the door and went to collect my pay. Myra looked unhappy as she raised her eyes from the screen on her desk. What the hell was that? You were supposed to go down in that last fight. I told you I did not want to lose. And I told you to do what I said. Do you have any idea what you just did? I got hurt for others' entertainment. Jonah, standing nearby, chuckled. You should have seen the other guy. Myra glared at him and he became quiet. She turned back to me. Why the hell couldn't you listen to me? You just caused me a whole lot of grief. Can you not get money from other fights? The people are still here. This isn't about them or you. Didn't you see the cameras out there? These fights are streamed. There's other people watching, rich people, important people, dangerous people, people who really want the fights they bet on to go a certain way. Do you understand that? I understood. Aldous and Ulda had said something similar about the gladiator fights and how he had been told to lose. He did not listen. He was nearly killed for his decision. I am more dangerous than Aldous, especially in this world. But these rich, important, dangerous people could perhaps still be troublesome. You did not tell me this. I told you to lose. Why wasn't that enough? I do not lose. But if I have caused you trouble, I will settle for base pay. You really think I'm paying you for this? The door behind me opened. I heard husband's voice. Excuse me, is where I get paid? Myra and I turned to look at him. He walked in with uneven steps. His face still had blood on it. He would have completely healed at that point, so being bloody and limping was more of his theater. Myra redirected her anger. You! You said you could beat her! I said I'd try. She's learned some new moves since the last time we fought. He approached the desk and stood beside me. You said I get paid win or lose. I just lost a buttload of money and got a buttload of trouble because you couldn't do the job. Not my problem. You said I could fight her, and I did. You said I'd get paid. Myra started to reply, but stopped. Her eyes narrowed as she looked from husband to me and back again. Wait a minute. Are you two in this together? What, are you kidding? Did you see that fight? She beat the crap out of me. You think I'd sign up for something like that? I mean... He paused and looked at me. I looked back at him. Myra looked at both of us. I mean, you want to get a drink after this? I would like a drink. Oh, for fuck's sake! Myra opened a drawer, grabbed a stack of money, and slapped it down on the desk. Here, take it and get out of here. I don't want to see either of you ever again. We reached for the stack at the same time. Our hands met on top. After a hesitation, husband peeled off a third of the stack. We put the money away and turned to go. As the door closed behind us, I asked, why? Thought you just had someone worthy to possibly lose to. You could not have told me about this? Got a more realistic reaction by just showing up. More of your Stanislavski? Ridley Scott, actually. Look up alien chestburster scene. I did not lose. Did you let me win? No, my love, you won fair and square. I beat the crap out of you. Yes, you did. Outside the building, a group of men was waiting for us. Perhaps they had hoped to make money betting against me. Husband and I looked at each other. We looked back at them. We smiled. They let us pass. Perhaps people are finally getting the message. We are here, Cat. Do not fuck with us. And that's the end of tonight's reading. That was almost the end of the book. I was very tempted to just end it right there, but if you've seen the Wattpad copy, or for that matter, even the Royal Road copy, there is a cover blurb, which is a forward glimpse into the book, and that forward glimpse hasn't happened yet. It is Chekhov's cover blurb. It's a promise that I made, and at that point I hadn't kept it yet. So the book continues until entry 120. That will be 2 more readings, 2 more weeks, 5 entries each.